Hello and welcome to Preschool Storytime. I'm Miss Claire from the Chattanooga Public Library. Preschool Storytime is for children ages 3 to 5, but everyone is welcome here. Grown-ups, would you please fill out the survey that's linked in the description box below? It's so hard for us not to see our smiling faces every week, and your feedback will help us know how we're doing and how we can serve you better. Thank you. Our stories today, not just our first story, but our stories today are about things that live in the ocean. So we have a lot of fish, and this is Ocean, a Peek Through Picture Book by Britta Teckentrup, and it is published by Doubleday Books for young readers. Gleaming and sparkling, the coral sea is a place of magical mystery. As the ocean's tides ebb and flow, a secret world lies deep below. Can you see all the different animals? You can see it's a peek through picture book. A small fish swims among the weeds. They provide shelter that it needs. As sponges glow and grasses sway, the fish continues on its way. Do you see a sea turtle and a seahorse? What else do you see? Two tiny seahorses, tail to tail, float along on a bubbly trail. They may be small and very slow, but calmly, gracefully, on they go. You see. A baby dolphin swims with its mother. They leap and dive around each other, communicating with chirps and clicks. They perform their acrobatic tricks. Lionfish swims through the sea with pride. Its stripy colors help it hide, but its secret weapon when under attack, the poisonous spines along its back. Where's our lionfish? There he is. Suddenly there's a ripple of fear as the fish sense danger very near. A shadow lurking in the dark. All fish fear the great white shark. Where's that shark? But just as their chances begin to sink, the pufferfish bloats. The squid squirts ink. Small fish dart in every direction. Some use camouflage as their protection. There's a giant fish. As the ocean sparkles in the sun, the tropical fish swim on as one. Together they can find a way to keep the predators at bay. What is this? Is this a squid? What do you think? I think that might be a squid up there. Rippling, gleaming through the night, the ocean sparkles with magical light. Jellyfish, eels, and manta rays dance and bob in bright displays. The humpback whale is the ocean king. The fish pause briefly to hear him sing. The ocean fills with an eerie sound as the whale's song echoes for miles around. The little fish swim by a manatee, a gentle creature in the sea. In an ocean meadow, seagrasses sway as the manatee's babies swim and play. Healthy coral can provide a place for ocean life to hide. Let's keep our oceans clean and clear and protect our friends whose homes are here. And that is Ocean by Britta Teckentrup. Right, are you ready for a flannel? Do you probably know the 5 little monkeys sitting in a tree teasing Mr. Alligator or Crocodile, and we snap? Well, we're going to have 5 fish, and they are going to tease Mr. Crab. So let's get these up on our flannel board. We'll put our crab down low. You almost can't see him. And I'll put the fish up high. 1, can you help me count? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see. We'll point them up and a little bit so we can get them all in one line. There we go. So we're going to say 5 silly fishes. 5 silly fishes swimming. You can make a swimming in the sea, teasing Mr. Crab. You can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Crab, as quiet as can be, and snap. Can you make a snap with your hand? You can either snap that way or you can snap like we would for an alligator. 4 silly fishes swimming in the sea, teasing Mr. Crab. You can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Crab, as quiet as can be, and snap, that fishy right out of the sea. How many do we have now? 3. Or some people we do this way. 3 silly fishes swimming in the sea, teasing Mr. Crab. You can't catch me. When along comes Mr. Crab, as quiet as can be, and snaps that fish right out of the sea. 2 silly fishes swimming in the sea. Swim, teasing Mr. Crab. You can't catch me. When along comes Mr. Crab, as quiet as can be, and snap that fish right out of the sea. 1 little fishy swimming in the sea, teasing Mr. Crab. You can't catch me. When along came Mr. Crab, as quiet as can be, and snapped that fishy right out of the sea. Did he get them all, or do you think they swam away? I hope they got away, but Mr. Crab crawled as full as he could be. That doesn't sound like they got away, does it? Are you ready for a pop-up book? We have snappy little splashers. Dive in and make a splash. And this is published by Silver Dolphin Books. That's a pretty good name for a book about animals in the sea. Who's that? Is that a turtle? Little turtle's on her way. Her journey's just begun. She's looking for some ocean friends to splash with in the sun. Oh, who's that? Do you know what that is? It is. When a whale is on your trail, you'd better keep away. He'll splash around and wave his tail and soak you with the spray. Who's next? Jellyfish. These jellyfish will take their time. They like an easy ride. They barely seem to swim at all, floating upon the tide. Let's see, make them move a little bit. There we go. Who's next? With a splash, these funny fish leap up into the sky. Watch them gliding overhead. These fish can really fly. Anglefish lies in the dark, his lantern shining bright. He's hoping that a little friend will stop and take a bite. Oops, we're going up to the North Pole. The North Pole can be very cold, but Walrus doesn't mind. He loves to swim beneath the ice to see what he can find. What do you think he's looking for? I don't know. And who's that? Deep beneath the ocean, there lurks a sneaky shark. He creeps among the shipwrecks, scaring fish in the dark. If a puffer fish is scared, he doesn't like to hide. He'll huff and puff and blow right up until he's twice his size. You see, if he's closed, he's pretty thin. Poof, he puffs out. Eel loves playing hide and seek beneath the ocean waves, but look at what she's found to chase among the rocks and caves. What is she chasing? Crab? A turtle? We see some seahorse, a jellyfish. What do you think? Oh, a little sea snail? Watch the dolphins dive and play and leap so very high. When it's time for us to go, they wave and say goodbye. That's our snappy little splashers. Are you ready for a rhyming story? You know our rhyming we will go. We have to have a fish. Fish and a dish. A seal, oops, and a wheel. A duck and a truck. Oop, Miss Claire's green truck. And a goat with a boat. So we're going to take all of our animals off, and then we're going to sing a rhyming we will go. And if you remember, it's to the tune of a hunting we will go, a hunting we will go, we'll catch ya and put him in a, and then we'll let him go. So a rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go, we'll catch a fish and put him in a wheel. Wheel? That doesn't rhyme, does it? Which one? Oh, we'll catch a fish and put him in a dish, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. We'll catch a seal and put him on a truck, boat, wheel, seal and wheel. We'll catch a seal and put him on a wheel, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. We'll catch a duck and put him in a truck, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go. I'll move this one up. A rhyming we will go. We'll catch a goat and put him on a boat, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go. A rhyming we will go. It's all pretend, and in the end we always let them go. Let's talk about our rhymes one more time. We have fish and dish, seal and wheel, duck and truck, goat and boat. You did a great job with your rhymes today. Thank you so much for helping me. I have a story by Eric Carle, and this is called Mr. Seahorse, and it is published by Philomel Books. I love the end papers, Richard. That's what we call this part before the book starts. I like all those seahorses. And there's a couple more. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist, this way and that. It's time for me to lay my eggs, she said. Can I help? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Oh, yes, thank you, said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into the pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. I'll take good care of our eggs, said Mr. Seahorse. I promise. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by, what do you think are there? A group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. It's camouflage, isn't it? There's our trumpet fish. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Stickleback? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Delighted, replied Mr. Stickleback. I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. Keep up the good work, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by, what do you think is under there? It says, a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. There's our lionfish. What do you think of his camouflage? Mr. Seahorse didn't even see him. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Tilapia? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you are taking good care of them until they hatch. Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. You must be very happy, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by, can you see anything under there? a pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. Now that you know where they are, I'm going to cover them up and see if you can see them. There you go. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch." "You are doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Can you see the eggs on his head? As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by, who do you think is under there? A stonefish hidden behind a rock. Kind of hard to see through a rock. I'll show you. Whoop. We can kind of see his tail. Whoops, over here. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch." "You should feel proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Can you see the eggs all along the belly? Yeah. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" Did Miss Claire skip a page? I don't think so. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. "Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs and the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting." "You are doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. The time had come for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that, and at last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh, no," said Mr. Seahorse. "I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own." Here's our baby seahorses being born. And there's again our beautiful end papers with all the seahorses. And that's Mr. Seahorse. I have one more flannel for you, and it's called Five Little Sea Creatures. We're going to put them up on the board, and it's going to be crowded, but we don't care. We don't mind at all. But you know what this is? This is a lobster. I'm going to put him up here. And I bet you know what this one is. Oops. He takes up the most space. Or she, I don't know. An octopus. And what about this one? A sea star. There we go. And this is our seahorse. We just read about those. And we couldn't have one without, who is this? A crab. Okay. You can use your fingers to count along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we have? A red lobster, a blue octopus, a yellow sea star, a purple seahorse, and an orange crab. 5 little sea creatures on the ocean floor. The lobster walked away. And then there were, how many? 4. Whoop. Crab's trying to get away too. 4 little sea creatures living in the sea. The octopus swam away. And then there were, how many? 3. 3 little sea creatures wondering what to do. "Goodbye," said the sea star. And that left 2 little sea creatures not having much fun. Off swam the seahorse. And that left 1. 1 little crab sat all alone. But you know what? Back came the seahorse, and back came the starfish, or sea star. We call it both things. And who else came back? A big octopus. And who's last? You remember? A red lobster. And then all five went home. But they played a little bit together before they did that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had fun. I hope to see you all next time and have a great week. Bye-bye.